Should be recording. There we go.
All right. Hi, this is David Perlman and Preston Pinay. I always say your name wrong, by the way. Pine, how do you pronounce Piney? All right. I Piney for you. So today is June 20th. We will be having Derek and I believe some of his other staff members from Fulton County Schools, which is a very large quasi-urban and suburban school district outside of the city of Atlanta, about 300,000 students. And I'm trying to think, 15,000 faculty staff, if I recall. Derek?
Well, in fact, yeah, in fact, I'll give you, can you guys hear me real well?
We can hear you great. Take it away.
Yeah,
so thank you.
I had some challenges finding a location here where we're at today and getting a quiet spot where I can jump on this call after our meetings. But yeah, we actually, we have 105 schools that actually stretched over 70 miles, 70 geographical miles here in Georgia, mainly North Georgia, of course, as David had said, right outside the city of Atlanta. City of Atlanta has its own public schools, but we're a much larger district, of course. 95,000 students enrollment, approximately 15,000 staff, so that was correct. But what's really big in our environment is when you look at the number of endpoints that we have to support. We have roughly 150,000 endpoints on our network. And we're just only talking about printers, devices, lab machines that are in our student and staff hands. Of those devices, approximately 68,000 of them are one-to-one for our high school and middle school students. And of course, our elementary school students are 1-to-3, one device per 3 students. In order to create this great, fabulous connection throughout the entire, make sure nobody have no disconnects whenever they hit any of our sites, we have over 10,000 access points covering our entire district. And to support all this, 200 IT staff. How about that? But we get it done somehow.
That seems like a bit of a challenge at times, Derek.
It is, and it's a challenge because one, we don't have a lot of people, but we also have a lot of tools that we have to manage day to day, which is why the cloud app service and for everybody who's on the call, my responsibility here at Fulton Schools and my team is security. Although the way we get it done, security is not done by just one team. We work with our infrastructure staff. We work with, of course, student support, applications. In other words, it's everybody's responsibility to implement security from the ground up and, of course, through operations day to day. So one of the things that I wanted to do today was to talk about some of the tools that we've been able to benefit from. And, of course, we have the A5 license. The size of our district, we realized after getting the Office 365 stood up, we said, there's a lot of tools within that tenant that we can take advantage of. And it'd be to our advantage, of course, from a money aspect, is to go ahead and get that A5 license. Granted, you may not use every single thing, but we're seeing that there's a lot of tools that we can take advantage of. We have been taking advantage of. We've seen the benefits from them, which is what we want to talk to you guys about today. And the challenges, of course, getting to that point.
So what would you say are kind of where you started, Derek? The challenge I think so many people are having is, how do you eat this elephant?
Yeah. So I came into the district just under 5 years now. And when I came aboard, they was just talking about getting Microsoft Office 365, going that route. And they was mainly looking at it just from a email perspective of moving, to that side. But of course, everyone got together and realized that, hey, there's a lot of benefit here at looking at all the cloud services that Microsoft offers. So what I would like to do is I want to go ahead. Also, I have on the call with me is Jeff Edison, who's on the team. He's a senior email administrator. And I also have Denisha Wright on the call, who just joined us, which is our security analyst. And Jeff is going to, they both actually get to have the fun day to day. I don't get a chance to have the fun to touch it. In other words, I go to them, say, hey, what's going on, about this? They're looking at particular incidents, or they may bring certain situations to me that they may run across, using the tools and say, hey, we need to do something about this. So what I would like to do is turn it over to Jeff, and Jeff is going to speak more about how they use it day to day, some of the challenges we ran into. But one of the challenges I can tell you that I know personally is trying to bring all of this together where we can truly take advantage of it and be more proactive instead of reactive using these tools. So right now, I want to be more in a proactive mode where it takes less headache off of our support staff, because as I said, we only got 200. 3 of them is on the security team, and that's a lot of work, we have to do day to day. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jeff. Jeff is going to speak more about, discussions around how we benefit from using MFA. Of course, we're using the Windows ATP products and seeing a great benefit from that. And of course, office security and compliance. And we're going to talk a little bit about the cloud app security as well module. Jeff, you're on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
So, yeah, so we've only had the A5 license for a little less than a year. And one of the big challenges we were running into when we first turned this on was phishing attacks. We were pretty eat up with phishing attacks. So the first thing we implemented when we turned on the A5 was we configured all the ATP, anti-phishing, safe links, all the features basically, and it really was effective. The phishing attacks mostly dried up within a couple of weeks, really, once we were able to implement that. Recently, we've run into other issues now. It's not blocking all the social engineering phishing attacks we're getting now. So we're starting to get the iTunes gift cards. We're getting the Bitcoin, all kind of stuff like that. And when we've been able to block some of that, with keywords and all kinds of stuff like that. But the problem that we're running into now is they're starting to hit us with images. So that they take a picture of the email, you can't key on the text anymore, and we're getting hit with the image attacks. So that's our new challenge that we're facing now. The other thing that's really changed is we do have to deal with a lot of e-discovery at the district, because we deal with all the open records requests. So we've been leveraging the security and compliance. We've got terabytes and terabytes of mail out there that we have to search for e-discovery requests, and we are looking at transferring over to the new advanced e-discovery product. We've started doing some testing on that. The HR department is very interested in doing online redaction, leveraging that capability, and also not having to convert to PDF files and keep it natively in the cloud. So that's a big thing that we're probably going to be working on in the near future. Some of the other features we're using, we've turned on DLP, and we've started scanning all of our OneDrive, SharePoint file locations. And based on that, we're starting to develop, some strategies and some policies on how to address, live PII information out in our environment. And we've also started researching, Azure information protection to address those issues moving forward, to give, a lot more security for HR and the administrative staff, the board members. So the other thing we've also been working on is we've been a Dell Silence shop until recently. It looks like we're going to be migrating over to Defender ATP. That's quite a challenge. We currently have 16,000 users using Defender ATP, and we're looking to move the rest of the school district in the next few months, probably new school year. That has given us some new features as well. With the turning on of the new threat and vulnerability management, we're starting to identify third-party apps that have vulnerabilities that we can start patching and getting them upgraded. So it gives us a lot more visibility into the clients. The other thing it gives us visibility into is a lot of the browser settings that have vulnerabilities. So we're going to start using group policy to address a lot of those issues moving forward. The other big tool we've been using a lot lately is the cloud app security. So we have uploaded our Palo Alto firewall logs to it. So that's giving us a lot of insight into student behaviors, what apps they're using, how much they're using them. So it gives us a nice, insight into that. We also have put in place policies that are detecting all kind of identity issues. So we're looking for high risk, leaked credentials, impossible travel, rogue admin activities. So that's, we're identifying those, and then we use cloud app security to kind of help pin down, whether it's a valid threat or not, and how to address it. The problem that we're running into now is we're kind of transitioning. We're identifying the problems. We need to kind of switch gears and do the remediation, turn on some kind of auto remediation. That's kind of where we're at right now. We're kind of turning to that to be a big project moving forward.
Yes, and to add to that, we have a meeting with the Microsoft team tomorrow to discuss, some sessions that we want to have set up with you guys, WebEx sessions, to help us tweak those areas that we've already stood up that Jeff has mentioned. One other thing that we're working on with the MFA side, we're moving our MFA from the on-prem to the cloud side, because we see there's benefits there that you get a little bit more for if you move the MFA to the cloud side. One of the things that we definitely want to do is move towards conditional access in the coming year, especially for our high-risk users and users who are targeted, such as our superintendent, my CIO, who likes to get the newest and latest gadget as soon as it comes out. We see so many incidents of targeted emails going towards them, or trying to, of course, get access to their accounts. One other thing that we learned that, Jeff had also mentioned when the challenges with Defender is that we're also going through an optimization program. That optimization is to bring everybody's Windows device up to a particular standard. Because one thing we also saw when Defender rolled out, you got to have a certain version of Microsoft operating system in order to be able to collect all that information. I think it's either 1703 or 1803 is the minimum version you got to have in order for Defender to really give you that pane of glass and pull all that information together off of the endpoints. Now with the safe links that Jeff mentioned, those phishing emails really went down initially. And then, of course, the hackers got smart. Okay, let's not add links. Let's not add attachments. And as Jeff mentioned, the images has become a problem. One of the things that we've been doing even prior to getting the A5 license and turning on these tools, we've been doing security awareness training. And we've seen the failures in phishing emails attempts on our employees have gone down roughly 17%. I mean, that is phenomenal. Even though it's not small enough, but with the turnover of employees each year, that number is pretty much starting to level out. So this is why the conditional access and all these tools that now included with the A5 license that we have, we've got to take advantage of them to, of course, to be more proactive and take that, to give more time back to our engineers to focus on other things.
So quick question for you, Derek, and I guess it's
Jeff.
Jeff Edison.
Jeff Edison.
So, Jeff, there's a lot of different things that are going on in all of our environments, right? And as the security attacks continue to morph, we have to continue to learn and upgrade and use the tools a little bit better. If we're just, we have email, right? And so a lot of folks on the, a lot of folks that are here might only have a couple of people in their IT department, right? And they see these features that are out there, multi-factor authentication. Where would you suggest they start, right? Okay, we have our email up in the cloud, all right, that's kind of table stakes. Maybe Teams is up and running. Where did you kind of start your security journey, I guess, as you were kind of getting ready to roll some of this stuff out?
on your side, we kind of started. I want to say the MFA was the first one that I took advantage of for my department because we saw how many attempts was being made against our employee portal. In fact, we had some incidents, and this incident not only occurred in our school district, but it occurred in several school districts around the country. Who knows? Might have someone on this call who had the same situation. But the bad guys realize that districts operate the same. They're a very trustworthy environment. They're of course, they will respond to anything in an email. So what we ran into was employees, of course, falling to a phishing attack. And at the time, our employee portal was just authentication for username and password. We took advantage of MFA and was able to apply that against our employee portal, which of course now it forces all of our employees, if you access that portal to change, to see your pay stub, to make any changes or anything dealing with your personal information, the MFA is what we're using. You have to be authenticated if you're not on-prem. Of course, if you're on-prem, that's not a requirement. Now, of course, the same thing for our finance department and management team who have to do budgets. If I have to access that system offsite, I've got to use MFA. So MFA was one of the first things that we took advantage of. Shortly after that, because of the phishing attacks, we turned up safe links and safe attachments that Jeff mentioned. And of course, that helped considerably. And then of course, Jeff started doing his magic with dealing with those emails that didn't include attachments, just to key in on those words to keep those threats down.
And so it sounds like you're actually managing from a portal standpoint. That's kind of where you're going to access all of your, when people are not on-prem, they're accessing everything through the portal now?
Well, this is for our ERP portal that we applied this to in this particular case. Okay. But what we're moving towards is with the conditional access, we're going to use MFA and expand it a whole lot more in the coming school year.
Excellent, excellent. And then secondly, the other piece I heard, are you doing anything with mobile device management in terms of whether it be iPads, cell phones, any of that kind of stuff?
No, unfortunately not. We had AirWatch prior to Intune. AirWatch is still going. So right now, AirWatch is what we're using to manage those endpoint devices opposed to Intune. Even though we have Intune, of course, built into the license.
Wonderful, wonderful. So it sounds like we need to, George and yourself need to have some further conversations. So George Freiberger is their account manager. So no, excellent, excellent. And then how have you, the technology itself is not hard, right? In terms of implementing some of these things, ATP, MCAS, some of those things there are. How did you handle kind of the change management and governance and communication out to your both students and then faculty and staff? And I'd love you to share a little bit of that, just because again, you're doing this at scale, right? We have bigger organizations, but you're one of the bigger ones that we, have regularly in office hours. How'd you manage that?
So what we have here in the district, we have a data technology governance committee, where the management team from IT, of course, is made up of us, other members from different departments. And what we do, we will go and sell these different new technologies that we want to implement to that team first. Then, of course, we have to do a mass communication to the entire district. And it's not just one communication. You have to have several communications, simplified communications, letting them know what's coming down the pipe. So this is normally our process of getting things or getting tools implemented, because it's not easy to just flip a security tool in this type of environment. The users who don't understand why you're doing it and who are accustomed to just having their way, well, it's a new time. So we have to continuously educate them, and then of course use past incidents to prove why we need to, of course, move to and use some of these tools that are included with the tenant.
Wonderful, wonderful. And then just kind of lastly, before we take questions from the rest of the audience, and again, if there's anything else that you're thinking presenting on, that's great. How are you? Do you deal with, as part of that change management, I'm assuming you have some folks that are in unions, not in unions. how do you kind of work? Did you have to contend with any of that as a?
No, we don't have to.
No.
No, we don't have to contend with that. We have we meet twice a week. I mean, twice a month. Our change management team, which is made up of change management board members, and of course, you bring your changes. You submit your changes. Of course, there's certain criteria you have to follow in terms of making sure the proper information is there. You have an implementation plan. And of course, we have to do the same thing on the Microsoft, provide the implementation plan, a backup plan, and of course, what the expectations are. Now, of course, as we all know, in the technology world, everything is not going to go smooth. But as long as you properly document, communicate, you'll get more, passes if you was to make a mistake along the way.
No, great, super helpful. All righty. Is there any other formal things you want to communicate, or Jeff, anything that we missed? I know we were trying to kind of make this more of a conversation.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is the other challenge we've been from a change perspective is there's, Microsoft keeps rolling out, for instance, Teams is a great example. There's a lot of new configuration that wasn't there 3 months ago.
I'm not even paying attention to you guys.
Yeah, so how we're having to kind of deal with that, because it's just not the same product it was, 3 months ago, and trying to deal with here's the new configuration, here's the new policies, and getting that configured correctly. That's one of the biggest challenges right now too that we're dealing with.
Makes sense. No, that's super helpful. No, that's great. I mean, so again, it's been this has been a 3.5-year journey for you folks. Is that about right? 3.5-year journey?
I would say it's about 3 years. Yeah, something like that.
About 3
because
years.
it was just purchased when I came on board. I mean, they hadn't even opened the box when I came in, but they had the product, but it was still in the box. So I would say a good 3 years we really been moving. And of course, also getting the users comfortable with it and trusting, getting away from shared drives. Go ahead and sync your stuff to OneDrive. It works. And the thing about it, what we realized is that once we got a lot of the users optimized, and what we did, we started from the head. If you start with leadership and get leadership on board, the tail normally follows. And so that's what we did. We made sure they was completely optimized. It worked for them. Well, of course, everybody else is now starting to join and come on board.
Excellent. No, that's actually a great approach. I've seen both. So why don't we take a couple of minutes here for questions? Really appreciate it. Jeff and Derek for hopping on today. And this actually came out of a conversation with one of my peers when I think Neil was down in Atlanta. But Neil, I think, is actually going over to watch the Boston Red Sox overseas this coming week because he's got some anniversary or something. I don't know, but it sounds very exciting. So any questions from the community in terms of what Fulton County has done for Derek or for Jeff? I can't believe there's no questions. That's awesome. You must have done a bang up job.
Hey.
Yes. Go.
So this is Preston.
Go ahead.
I have one quick question for you guys. When I love the term optimization that you use as you talk about, that end user experience and starting with the leadership, are there any tips or specific things that you guys consider to be part of that optimization process for the end user experience? Like you mentioned OneDrive, are there other parts and components of that?
So what we realized was we always got tickets from users saying, hey, OneDrive don't work or it's not syncing properly. Well, when we started really looking at what was going on out there, we had so many flavors of the operating system on different devices. Everybody wasn't at the same level. So we said, you know what? We're going to have to go ahead and first of all, let's get the actual operating system on the same level. So we started at the administration level, at our own building, first with our own technology team. And we say, okay, we got to trust our own process. So we start optimizing all of the technology personnel. Once that level worked on the operating system level, then we did the same thing for our leaders in the administration building. Then we came back optimize Office 365, make sure everybody's on the same version. One of the things that really was helpful, the Microsoft, what is it called? The Software Center. We got our own picture and look and feel behind it, but we use Software Center, of course, to communicate, to alert users that you have a new update available. And of course, these communications that we sent to users as we was doing the optimization, we communicated a week to two in advance, several communications. Expect this, expect this. You're going to have X amount of days to restart your workstation. If you don't restart it, this particular date, it's going to do it. Now, of course, we had some users complain. It's restarted in the middle, when I was doing work. But how many times did you receive that communication? And this is the reason why we started at the top and moved down, because we knew from past users just don't follow or read the communications, or that's the excuse.
Thank you. I think that's wonderful.
Hey, this is Seamus from Ithaca College. I had a quick question. So in terms of dealing with anti-phishing stuff, have you guys looked at the anti-spoofing feature? And if so, what kind of experience have you had with it?
Jeff, want to take that one?
Yeah, I don't think we've actually done anything with that so far. We have not.
Okay, thanks. And I had one other question about the auto remediation that you guys are starting to look at. Are you doing sync back to on-prem, or are you looking at using something like Azure automation scripts to kind of like if you want to reset someone's password or do something like that?
So we do have a vendor that's been working with us who been doing some scripting in the back end of our tenant. So what we're doing is called Fishhunter. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that particular term or you've heard about the service out there they offer. So basically what they're doing is they're also using these scripts, and I don't know what they're doing in the back end, how they actually do it. So if they identified a user that is considered high risk, we know that user, of course, we're pretty sure that user is truly has an impossible travel alert. We have some scripts set that if they hit that high risk mark, and I think it was one more setting, we automatically reset their password. I can't remember what the second one was. I know it was high risk. What was the other one, Jeff, that they set up where it automatically resets the password?
Yeah, it was leaked credentials.
Yeah, leaked credentials.
Like the high risk and leaked credentials, we've been resetting their passwords automatically.
Right.
Yep.
Awesome, thanks.
Have you got any pushback from your end users with those settings?
No.
No.
Not that I'm aware of. Because most of the time,
That's the answer I was
something's going on.
Right, and I think that's where, so my experience has been, as I've worked with a lot of the folks on this call, is there's always a hesitancy to set up automated remediation. Everybody's worried about, getting inundated by the help desk or other things like that. But it sounds like you guys have implemented it, been quite successful with it, and have not had really lashback from your end users due to it, correct?
And the reason why we only took baby steps at it. And you notice there's only two things that we're doing auto remediation on, which is why we're having this conversation with Microsoft tomorrow. We're starting to have this conversation with George. He's coming in. I'm not sure who he's bringing with us, so we can establish some sessions to do more auto remediation, because we're spending too many time responding to the incidents that we, see get alerted on the tools.
Yeah, we've got to leverage automation because the staff is so small and the amount of alerts we're getting are so vast that
Right.
The only way for us to really combat this is we got to have some help kind of shutting a lot of this stuff down with automation, because there's just no way we can do it all manually.
Right.
Yep.
And are you using any kind of SEM system currently today?
Yes, we are. So we do have a SIM too. We have SecureWorks, but we've stood up Sentinel. because hey, if Sentinel will do the job, and I'm looking at it all this year, if it does the job, that's money savings for us. So right now we have SecureWorks and sending our logs from our firewalls, all of our critical servers, on-prem critical servers, and of course, some of our main switch logs are also being sent up to there. And we're getting alerts from that end. And see, what's happening is we're getting alerts from both sides. We would love to bring all of this into one pane. That's why I'm starting to look closely at Sentinel.
Okay, awesome. I'd love to hear more. Maybe we have you back in 6 months and kind of report out on that. I think you're one of the early folks on Sentinel, and certainly Steve Scholes on my team would love to kind of hear what we don't get to play with all these toys all the time, Derek, right? So next time I'm down in Atlanta, I'd love to talk to the security team about what they're doing. So awesome. Love it.
See, that's my problem, Dave. I don't get to play neither.
Preston's, look at today. Preston's pimping in the, he's got his neon out and he's driving around today doing the Uber thing. I'm not sure if you caught that. He had actually the pleather seats in the neon today.
I saw true. I'm in a Passat. I finally took your advice and upgraded slightly.
Excellent. See, office hours have improved your life as well. So why don't we stop recording? And Derek and Ed, really appreciate, or Jeff, sorry, really appreciate your time today. And we can take a few of these offline if there's any questions for office after hours. But I'm in Redmond and I have to go back and I have a couple of mayors and some other folks in a conference room. So sincerely, thank you very much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
And thanks for having us.